Hi everybody, how you doing? Can you believe it is Thursday already? Hope everybody's doing well, and I hope that the stream runs smooth tonight. I do have a new webcam on order, so that should fix my problem, I hope. So hopefully it'll be here in the next week, so we'll have it by next Thursday. Hey, Do, how are you? So tonight we're going to be working with the stamp set Angels of Peace, and it is in the new mini catalog. If you do not have a copy and would like one, just put a message in the comments, and I will get back to you for your address so we can get that out to you. And speaking of the catalog, if you decide to become a business builder as a demonstrator for Stampin' Up, or you just want to save on all your crafty goodness, um, if you join within the next few months, you get to choose one of these bundles as a free add-on to your kit. And some of these bundles are $60. Hey Peggy, how are you, honey? And then just as a reminder, if you place an order, you'll get the Expressions in Ink PDF. It's 96 pages, and there are 15 different tutorials in this bundle using this stamp set. You get it for free for placing an order. You get it free if you're on my team. So Emma, if you want it, let me know. And it's also for sale on my website, galfridaystamping.net. So I made these two cards. Um, I actually used the designer series paper from the Expressions in Ink suite. And I also used the dies, and let me pull this out so I can show you. I used the dies from the Forever Grapevine. I guess the dies are called grapevine dies. And you can see them right here at the edge of the frame, the ornate frame I used to cut out the DSP. And I figured I would use the leaves for the vine because you'll notice the little angel has holly leaves in her hands. So I wanted to use leaves. She's watercolored. She's gold embossed, as is the little one. I also used the Tasteful Textile embossing folder and the Pale Papaya cardstock. Now I did a lot beforehand. I embossed and I fussy cut the images so we wouldn't be here for over an hour this week. So we'll get started on the pink card first. And like I said, we're using Pale Papaya, and I cut it 11 by 4 1/4, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. And of course, I'm going to use an additional layer of the Pale Papaya, and this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. You don't have to keep track of the measurements because I will have the PDF posted in the group by noon tomorrow. I think I'm on track. I think I'm just about finally caught up. It was a crazy week. Everybody knows about my TV situation in the storm. And I ended up having to buy a new television stand because I didn't take that into consideration when I bought the TV. And that came this week, so I lost another day trying to move furniture and set things up. Now this is the Expression in ink designer series paper, and this is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I'm using a layer of basic white. Now for the corner here, I'm not really too thrilled with, yeah, that's good, that's for sure. I'm not so thrilled with the square corner. So for tonight's card, I'm actually going to round the corners and see if I like that any better. Just to do something a little different. And I'm using this little rounder that I have. And the reason I'm doing it is because the ornate layers has a rounded type corner. So I figured it'll go with that die just a little bit better. It'll expose the designer series paper a little bit more. And I'm just going to adhere this also to the front of the card. And while I'm thinking about it, this is a pretty thick card. And I saw a discussion today about people wanting the post office to give them that cutout to let you know if your card's going to need extra postage. And I just want to remind everybody, hey Kathy, hi Margaret, if you, oh, piece of hair, my hair is falling out. If you have a Stampin' Up trimmer, if you can't get your card through this opening here in the cutter, then it's going to need extra postage. If it fits through, and I'll use this one, if it fits through this hole easily, that's a normal postage card. If it doesn't fit through, you're going to need extra postage. So it's just a little trick with that hole there in the center of that cutter. Okay, so I have the ornate layer, and we are going to pop this up onto the front of the card. So I hope everybody's doing well. It was a tough day in our house today with everything that happened in Kabul, and I usually don't talk about it, but my husband's a Marine, and it just breaks his heart when he hears about fellow Marines being hurt or killed. So it was a little bit of a rough go in our house today. All right, I want to make sure this is centered on this white piece of cardstock here. So let me just lift it up a second, and that looks better. So I'm just going to pop that up. Now I took the die, and I actually did cut the leaves out again in the DSP. Oops. And then I also cut out some extra leaves. There's an extra die in here, and I'll show it to you. Here's the grapevine that I cut out, and then it gives you another die to cut out some more various leaves that you can pop up or just add to the vine itself. So I'm actually going to add this vine right here to the corner, and I'm going to pop this up. So I'm going to grab some smaller dimensionals. Forgot what they were for a second. Somebody must be burning a fire outside. I smell smoke. And I've checked the whole house. I went around checking to make sure it wasn't our house. But I smell it, so it's out there somewhere. I don't know why anybody would be having a fire tonight. Hey, Karen. How are you, honey? Whoever shares the video tonight on any of the platforms, this week I'm going to put everybody's name together and pick a winner, and I'm going to give away the Feels Like Home stamp set. Such a pretty little stamp set. So make sure you share this video, and I will announce it next week on next week's video. So it'll give everybody a chance to share it during the week. All right, so I'm just going to pop this up on the frame. And then with the little leaves, I'm not going to use them all, but I cut out various ones in the light, picking up the light colors of the DSP and the dark colors so I could mix them around. Let me just, I know I'm going to have to turn them back over again, but I just want to see. Whoops. Okay, let me get rid of this. So where I have light leaves here, I'm going to actually pop up some darker leaves towards the bottom here. I'm just going to add the one little dimensional. And I'm not going to cover, I'm just going to add. And I'm going to do the same thing up a little further. And just add it, just to add a little bit of dimension to the card. Now where it's a little darker here, let's grab a really light leaf. Thanks, Peggy. And let's just add one more up here. We'll add a little one. Whoops. These little leaves. And I'll just add that right there. Okay, we'll put those aside. Now for the angel, she really is a good size. Let's see how big she is. She's about 4 inches tall. So that's a really nice size for a stamp. And I used regular basic white, and I embossed her in gold. And I think I've said during another video, when you emboss, you want to try to stay away, although I did use blends for her face and her hair. You want to be careful with your blends, because the blends, where they're alcohol based, they take away the shine from the embossing. So for her dress and her wings and the little bird, I used watercolor. And I did her dress, whoops, in Blushing Bride. And I did her wings in Fresh Freesia and Pool Party. I'm using our water painters. And I'm going to start with her dress. Now you add more water, you're going to get a lighter color. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to this so I can get it a little more runny. And I want it to be dark wherever there is a crease. And I'm going to put all my dark color in first. So wherever there would be a shadow, that's what I'm coloring in first. This arm, way in the back. And I'm going to go down all these lovely lines. And you don't have to worry about getting it on the embossing. I'm just going to quick color this up. See, I didn't even color ahead of time. I just, and these are all the places that I think the dress would have a crease in it. That's really all I'm doing, is running it where I believe the dress would have a crease. Going by the artist's lines. And then let's just hit this arm over here. Have a dark spot there. And where it is behind her. Let's add some over here. Okay, now once that I have it all outlined, I'm actually going to add some more water. And you do that by squeezing the barrel. And I'm going to make sure it's nice and wet. And I'm going to start at the top, and I am just going to add more color and water. And you do want to try not to saturate the paper like I just did. But you want to spread this color out. A little bit more. Oh, almost forgot her other arm. Okay, so there is her dress. Quickly watercolored. Not all. Oh, my boxes. Yeah, I didn't make any boxes tonight, do. Okay, so now that we're done with the Blushing Bride, let me see. I didn't bring any paper towels in tonight. I'm just going to clean the brush off, and I'm going to switch over to my pool party. And again, I want to add some water because I don't really want her wings to be all that dark, and you can't see them. I just want them to have a hint of color. This one behind would be a little darker because of the shadows. So I will add this one a little darker. But on this side, I actually want it to be on the lighter side. And I'm just going to go underneath these feathers, adding a little bit of color. I'm going to add some in the crook of her arm. I'm going to go around her arm, down the side of her dress. And then I'm going to add some to the feathers of her bottom of her wings. And then I'm going to grab my fresh freesia. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Too much. And then I'm just going to extend that out, pulling that color through, because I do want it to have a little bit of extra color. And I'll go up here, take it around her hair. And then we'll let that dry for a couple minutes. For her hair, oh, let's do her face. I'm actually going to grab the light cinnamon cider, and this time I'm going to use the brush end because the tip is nice and pointy. And I'm just going to add a shadow right here where her hairline is and under her neck where her hair is. I'm going to grab some petal pink, and this is the light petal pink with the brush end, and I am going to go over that cinnamon, carefully trying not to get on the embossing, but I'm going to extend that around, and then I have to hit this hand, just quick and easy. Now for her hair, I'm going to grab some dark So Saffron, and all I'm going to do is add some darkness around. And then I'm going to grab the light So Saffron, again using the brush end, and I'm going to fill the areas of her hair in, just giving it a quick go so I don't really touch that gold embossing, just to add some color to her. Now to finish her up, I'm grabbing some Wink of Stella, and I am going to glitter up her wings. You really can't see it in the pictures, unfortunately. I should have taken a close-up of her wings. But I'm just going to add some of the Wink of Stella to give her wings a little bit of a sparkle. And you really can't even tell, but it's there. And then for one last little bit, I'm just going to take a little bit of light gray and do the belly of the bird right under his wings and his tail. And that's it. Quick and easy. Let's pull in our card, and we're going to pop her up right on the front of the card. I'm going to make sure one more, stands up really nice. And there she goes. Now for my embellishments, let me see where. I'm using the Genial Gems, and I'm going to just add them to the corners of this card. And one more. So there's the front of our card. Pretty different, definitely different colors. The pen, this is Wink of Stella. It is a brush pen, and it has glitter and alcohol in it. Okay, so for the inside of the card, I kept it very simple. I have a layer of pale papaya, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, a basic white, 5 1/4 by 4. I have a piece of the designer series paper that is 1 inch by 4. And then we are going to pull in these extra leaves that we had. Let's hopefully I have enough here. Let's see if I saved any over here. Okay, so we have 3 little leaves. That's perfect. And we're going to emboss the sentiment. Sometimes angels are just good people with kind hearts. So I'm going to grab my block that has the lines on it, and I'm going to line up my sentiment on one of those lines. And let's pull in some Versamark and gold embossing powder. Move this stuff out of the way. And let's emboss this. I'm going to lay it here straight. I'm going to hope that these lines are going to help me tonight. Make sure I have it right side up. This afternoon when I was working, I actually put the sentiment on upside down. Hopefully that's straight. And it looks pretty good. So I'm just going to emboss that. Put a little bit more on there. I think sometimes when it's warm in here, the Versamark dries pretty quick. Okay, so let's get this embossed. And I'm going to go over top this time. I know it's loud. And you want to remember not to hold it in one place for too long because you can burn the embossing. And that looks good. So let's close this up. My Versamark has seen better days. And I'm just going to grab this piece of designer series paper. And I'm going to add this to the top of the card. Oops, too short, too long, I mean. Let's pull it up and I'll just cut it off. Just like that. Now you can hold it up sideways. You can see how the paper that was a mess. How the paper curled. If you emboss from the underside, it does not curl as bad. And that's what I should have done. But we're just going to let's put this in here. And we can trim this off really quick. I just didn't put my sentiment down far enough. That's okay. And then we're just going to take some leaves, pulling them from the front of the card right here into the center. I just like to have some element from the front of the card show up on the inside of the card. And we'll just do the two so it's even on both sides. Hey, lovey girl. Thanks, Kathy. Thank you, Peggy. Hey. And I am going to glue this in. Now I have to make sure where it did warp that I have enough glue, and I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to turn it over. Let's make sure it's even first. And that looks good. I'm just going to rub it from the back just in case I have anything on my hands. Make sure it's stuck down there really well. And that doesn't look bad. And then we can just pull in our card. I'm just going to cover up this embossing powder before it ends up on my desk. You know me. If there's an accident waiting to happen, it'll happen. And then we're just going to lay this on the inside of the card. Oh, wow, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I'm going to have to try that, Peggy. I guess as you're waiting and it's still not hot enough, that's when it starts to warp. So here's card number 1. Just a quick and easy, and I think I do like the rounded corner better than the square. So I'm glad I changed that up. Now for the second card, I wanted to use the other image in this set, and I can see myself using this set for a few different cards because I have some ideas with the vellum. It would look really pretty with vellum. I'm going to start with a 5.5 by 4.25 base. And I'm using the pale papaya, and I wanted to tie in some pink from the other card, so I added a layer of the polished pink to the front of the card. Now this card actually, the reason there's so much white and I did not emboss it is because this flips up, and this is the front of the card. And then here's the sentiment in the center. But I did emboss the layer on the tag, so it ties in. It could, you can't spell. You have to blame autocorrect, Peggy. I'm having so much trouble with my iPad that nothing writes properly. Okay, so we're going to start with our base of pale papaya, 5.25 by 4. Nope, that's a lie. I'm sorry. 5.5 by 4.25. And then I'm going to put on a layer of the polished pink, and this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And we're just going to lay this right on the front of the card. I'm going to make sure, or at least hope, that I get it on there even. And that looks pretty good. Then my next layer is the white layer, and this is 5.25 by 4. Now what we're going to do is, before I go any further, I am going to emboss the sentiment so I can get this out of the way, and I'm going to try, let's get this on, a little piece of fuzz there. Get this out of the way. Let's pull the embossing in. And as I'm stamping this, Peggy, hey, Karen, thank you so much, Karen. I'm going to turn on this heater and hold it while I stamp the sentiment. So it'll be loud for just a minute. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to stamp this right in the center. Again, hoping I get it in here straight. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, not bad. That does work much better. I think I need to add some ink to my Versamark though. Okay, so now that I have the sentiment stamped, let's put this Versamark away, because I believe that is the end for that. Get it out of the way. Okay, so before we adhere this layer, again, using the Expressions in Ink Designer Series paper, it's 4 inches by 3 inches, and on the 3-inch side I scored it at 1 inch. So we're just going to fold this and burnish it. And there's one, and then I had to do a second one, just like that. I used the Stitch So Sweetly dies in Pale Papaya and Basic White, and I ran it through with the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. And then for the leaves on this card, again, I used the Designer Series paper, and I actually used the die, which it is huge, from Beautiful Leaves. And this is from the matches the stamp set Beauty of Tomorrow. I actually have this out because I'm working on my class to go, which I'm running behind on. So this is the size of the die. It is all one piece, and as you can see, actually I did cut it off a little bit because it was so big. I cut it up. I used half for for this card, and then this is the other half of the die. Just put this away. And I wanted to cut it up so I could lay it behind the frame to decorate the front. So we're going to go back to our 4x3. It's scored at the 1 inch. Now we're actually going to take the 2-inch section and we're going to fold up the corners, line it up with that score line, and we're going to do this to both sides. Line it up here with the score line. Give it a good fold, and then we're going to glue these corners down. I'm just going to add some glue here on both sides. And we're just going to glue them down. And we're going to do the same thing to this side. Going to fold it in. Get our line, get our folds nice and crisp. And then glue these flaps down. Nice, quick, and easy card. Okay, so once we have that done, we can pull in our white piece and decide if we want the light on the top or the bottom, and I'm going to put it on the bottom. And for the bottom piece, we are going to add glue to this 1-inch section, and we're also going to add glue to the triangle because this piece is going to be glued down to that white. So we're going to line this up at the score line and side to side. I may need to trim it. And then we're going to fold it up and glue that down. And I do have to do a little trim here. It's a little bit, and I don't want to ruin this. So I'm just going to put this in here like this. Line up that paper. Make sure it's lined up with the blade. And give it a good trim. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just going to trim this up a little bit. Line up my, oops, see what I'm doing. Lining it up with the blade and then just giving it a trim. It was just a little teeny tiny piece. Okay, so that is the bottom of your card. And then for the top piece, all we're going to do is add glue to this 1-inch section. Hopefully, I don't have to trim it. And again, we're going to lay this right up against that score line. Ooh, close. Make sure that's glued really well. And then one more time, I'm just going to trim this little excess piece right off the top here. Oops. There we go. Little teeny tiny piece. Look at that. Okay. So now that we have the flap, we can grab a hold of our Stitch So Sweetly. We're going to actually pop this up. The white piece we're going to pop up. So let me just cut some pieces. I've got glue on my hands now. And I want to make sure this stays popped up. So we'll add 4 of these. Well, thank you, Peggy. I appreciate that. There's just so many things to share. I wish I had more time. I try to hit all the different things. If there's anything you'd like to see, don't hesitate to ask. If I can do it, I will show you. That's for sure. All right, I'm trying to get this so it's even on this Stitch So Sweetly. My hands are, and that's off still. All right, we're going to try it the long ways. That's better. I can see there's a piece of my hair stuck. Okay, there we go. That's better. Sorry about that. Just didn't want to go on. Now for the leaves, this we're going to center on the card. And then I want to get these leaves, and it's going to be a little bit big. So I am going to actually cut this piece off right here because we're not going to really need it. And I'm going to add a bit of glue right here and just add it to the back of this. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this corner. Just going to add a bit of glue and add it right there. And we're going to give that a few minutes to dry. So we're going to put that aside. Let's pull in the little girl. Again, I already embossed her in gold and fussy cut her out so you wouldn't have to watch me fussy cut. And this time I'm going to pull in some soft succulent and my brush. And all I'm going to do is add some soft succulent to the leaves in her hands. And on her head, there are just like 2 or 3 little leaves in her hair. So that's really all I'm using soft succulent for. Now for her dress, I made her dress the same color as the large angel. And I'm actually going to add a little bit more water here. And I'm going to, again, oops, too much water. Everything, all the spots, hold on. All the spots that I think would have shadows, that's where it's going to be the darkest. I don't have to worry about the embossing. So I'm just going to give this a quick watercolor. Go under there. Get these pieces here. Under this fold. And then just down these lines. A little bit on her. All right, now I'm going to just lot more water and wash it with a little bit of color to fill in her little dress. Now for her wings, I'm going to do the same, do the same thing I did. I'm going to use some freesia. I'm going to add some color. And then I'm adding some of the pool party. Just nice and quick. Under the feathers. Just to add a little bit of color to her wings. I want to get this one right behind her head. Now for her face, I am just going to take the pale pink. I'm going to let that dry. So we're just going to add some pale pink to her face where she's a little girl. We don't want her skin too dark. And then I'm going to take some Mango Medley. This is the dark, so I'm going to add some dark into her hair. And then I'm going to grab the light Mango Medley and I'm going to fill it in. Trying not to hit too much of can't think, the embossing. And then I'm going to grab some polished pink. Let's clean this off a little. And I'm going to dab the teeny little flowers in her hair. Just to pull pink so it matches the other card. And I'm going to grab some, that's lipstick. Let's do this one. This is Magenta Madness, almost the same color. And I'm just going to hit those little berries near the holly. Yep, she does. And wink a Stella on her wings. She's so pretty. Okay. So quick and nice and easy, huh? Let's close this up because you know what happens. Let's pull in our card. So now that we have this all set up, we're going to glue this down to this top piece. So I'm going to add my glue here. And I don't want to come down too far. And I want to make sure it's centered on the card. And I don't want it to be stuck to the middle of the card. So now that we have that there, let that dry for a second. And we're going to take this sweet little girl. I'm going to cut up some more of my dimensionals. And we're going to pop her up. Let me just see. Yep, I hit it. I thought I missed part of her wing. I'm going to pop her right up on the front of this card. Ooh, it's warm in here tonight. We've had so much rain, and the heat has been crazy. I know the storms all over have been terrible. Okay. Let me just pull this up a little. It's just a little bit crooked, it looks. It might be this. Okay. And then we're going to put her right in the center. We're going to grab these same gems, and I'm going to put one right here at the top of the frame. And then you probably didn't even really notice, but I just added a couple to the leaves for a little bit of sparkle. And then I grabbed my gold on gold, and I don't believe this is, yes, this is the ribbon that goes with the Beauty in Nature set. And we're just going to make a quick bow. Make sure you cut enough ribbon. I usually don't. And you're going to hold it between your thumb and the pointer. Go around your two fingers, and I have glue all over me now. Take your tail, go between, look at that glue. Go between your fingers. Then you're going to take the tail and tuck it under this cross piece and go back through your fingers. You want to pull it. Now this loop that we just created, you're going to put the tail through that loop, and you're going to pull it out to the right hand side and pull. Now you want to make sure that you leave your fingers enough space and don't tie them up where you won't be able to get your fingers out. That's usually what I do too. Just like right now, I did make it a tad too tight, but when you take it off, you have nice full loops. If you keep that knot tight, you'll have nice loops on your ribbon. And then we're just going to cut this tail and cut this tail. And grab a glue dot. They're probably, oh, not too bad. Whoops. Going to add it right here to the bottom. That tail is crooked. Let's fix that tail. I hear cicadas outside. Okay. And there's our second card, all finished. So I hope you liked tonight's cards. They were really fun to make and a little bit different. Oh, no, we're not finished. We have to put this on the base. Holy smokes. Must have lost my mind. So let's add this onto the card base. Now these two cards, as we were talking about postage before, will not fit through that slot. So they're going to need extra postage. And of course, they won't be able to go through the machine. That's the whole idea of the extra postage. It's not so much the weight, it's the thickness. So here are tonight's cards. If you place an order using the code heat coming, yeah, we've had horrible heat. Use the code that's along the bottom of the screen right now, and you place an order of $35 or more. You'll get the free PDF. You'll get a swag bag with some goodies and 24 sheets of designer series paper. So I hope you liked tonight's cards. Thank you so much for joining, and I will definitely see everybody. I'll be live on Saturday for the next section of our album. It's coming along really nice. Now the camera's probably going to go crazy, but we're working on the left-hand side of our album, and it opens up and opens up, and we have a waterfall, and then it opens up to the center here we have a nice pocket. As you can see, I have not gone any further. And then this right-hand side, this one flips up, and we have spaces on the top and the bottom. And then the bottom, we have all these flaps for photos. So hopefully we will get this piece done on Saturday. I'll have the right side started at least, but it's coming along. Thank you, Karen. So thanks everybody for joining. I hope you really liked the cards tonight. I loved creating them, and I love having everybody here with me. Have a great night. I'll see you on Saturday. Stay cool, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.